How much does Google Ads cost for electricians? If you're a Sparky electrician and you're considering using Google Ads for your business to get more paying customers, more leads, you probably want to know how much it's actually going to cost you. Is it $20 a day, $100 a day, $500 a day? In this video, we're going to go through how much Google Ads actually costs. So what Sparkies are really spending on Google Ads, and we're going to go through the actual costs to get electrical jobs like board upgrades, house rewires, commercial jobs. More importantly, is Google Ads for electricians worth the money? And why Google Ads doesn't work for some electricians. You may have heard some people say that Google Ads just doesn't work. Well, we'll go through that as well, what mistakes that they're making. My name's Adrian from Grow Savvy Marketing, and I help electricians and other service businesses get more paying customers using Google Ads. Let's start with some cost per clicks, how much clicks are costing for electricians, and some of the key factors that actually affect cost when it comes to running Google Ads. If you've looked around at Google Ads before, then you'll know there's actually no flat fee as such. It's charged as a cost per click. So that's when someone clicks on your ad, that's when you get charged. Here in Australia, electricians are generally paying from $5 to $25 or more per click. In the US, you're looking at more than that, which is $20 to $90. We'll go through some more exact click costs later on, and also the cost to actually get paid jobs. That's all good, giving you the range of click costs, but what actually impacts the cost? Well, there's a few common factors. First of all is your location. If you're in a big city like Sydney or LA, then clicks are going to cost more than if you're in a small regional town. One of the major reasons for this variance is the amount of competition. If you've got a lot of electricians all bidding on the same keywords in a big city, for example, you're going to be paying more per click because Google Ads is an auction system at the end of the day, and the highest bidder wins the top place. Next factor affecting this is keywords. So the type of keywords you're using really will impact the cost. So for example, we've got electrician Sydney. You're going to be paying $6 to $28 per click versus level 2 electrician, which is $10 to $60. Why that's different is, first of all, electrician Sydney, that's quite a general term. That could be something like a light fixture installation. It could be a full house rewire. So other electricians are prepared to pay less for that than they would be for something more specific. Level 2 electrician, that's quite a specific type of electrician, and the job values tend to be higher. So you're going to be paying more for that because of that. The next thing that impacts the cost of running your Google Ads is, does the keyword convert? So for example, emergency electrician Sydney, you're paying $8 to $46 per click for that. But because you're paying more, well, not because you're paying more, but because of what the keyword is, it's actually more likely to convert. So someone who has an emergency wants someone right now. They're not looking to get this job done in 3 weeks down the line, which might be some new light fixtures, something like that can wait. But if it's an emergency, if you pick up the phone and if you sound like you know what you're doing, then chances are you're probably going to get that job. Final thing that affects how much Google Ads costs for electricians is how you've got your Google Ads account set up and the ads that you're running. Also, the landing page performance is very important as well. So all of this is going to play into how much it actually costs. The better you've got your campaign set up, the lower the costs are going to be. Before we get into how much electricians are paying monthly for Google Ads and how much it's costing them to get a paid customer, let's look at how the budget works in Google Ads. Google Ads budget is set as a daily amount. So you might spend $100, set your budget at $100 a day, for example. But that daily amount can fluctuate. Some days you might only spend $75, whereas other days you might spend $120. Overall, Google will average that over a month. They'll take the $100, they'll multiply that by 30 days for the month, and they'll say your budget is $3,000 a month. What you spend on Google Ads is never going to go over the $3,000, but the daily amount will fluctuate. Before we actually move on, I wanted to give you a quick demo on how Google Ads actually charges you. So if we type in Electrician Sydney, we're going to get a whole bunch of ads. So anything that says sponsored over here, so the sponsored, that's an ad, sponsored, sponsored. And you'll often get ads in the maps over here, which also says sponsored. Google Ads is not charging you to show your ads up the top here or show your ads. So they'll appear for free. It's only when someone actually clicks your ad, or any of these links under here, this is all part of the ad, that's when you're going to get charged. And Google Ads calls it the cost per click, or the CPC. Now you know how the monthly budget works and some rough cost per clicks, but how do you actually find the cost per clicks for yourself? Well, you can do that using a tool called the Google Keyword Planner. To use the Google Keyword Planner, hop into your Google Ads account, go to Tools, Planning, Keyword Planner, and then click on Discover New Keywords. Now you need to enter some keywords, type of things that people might search for you. We'll just start with something broad like electrician, because this will bring up a whole lot of other searches, and level 2 electrician. This will give you some ideas as well. And before you hit get results, you want to be adding your location in. So this is the location area that you actually service. So make sure that you haven't selected the whole country or the whole world or something. Just make sure it is your service area, and that'll give you the click costs or the cost per clicks in that actual area. Once you've done that, it's going to bring up a list of keywords here. So in this column is the keywords, then you've got the average monthly searches. So this is how many people are actually searching for this particular keyword every month. And then you've got the two cost ranges here. So top of page bid, so that means how much it costs to get your ad showing at the very top of Google. And we've got two amounts here. First of all, what the low range, I should say, and the high range. So for a level 2 electrician, you'll pay anything from $6.58 to $54.79 per click. And this is based on Australia. If you're not in Australia, then you'll just change this location right here. You'll change that to whatever country or location you are. So if we go through these, you can see there's quite some varying click costs. So we've got electrician near me, that's up to $35. We've got an emergency electrician, $53. So like I mentioned before, that you're going to pay more for search terms that are more specific or more likely to convert, more search intent or more buying intent, I should say. Now keep in mind, this is just an average range here. You probably pay somewhere in the middle or the middle to the upper end rather than the lower end for your click cost. So you can just get a bit of an idea of how much it's going to cost you per click. Now you know how to work out the cost per click. That information really is pretty irrelevant on its own. What really matters is the cost of a booked job. How much does it cost to get a new paying customer? So from that, then we can answer, is Google Ads worth it for electricians? So I'll give you a few examples, or a couple of examples. First one, let's look at Electrician Sydney. Now we're paying maybe on average about $17 a click for that when someone searches that in Google and clicks on your ad. What we'll do is we'll take that and we'll say it takes about 25 clicks to get a paying customer. Now that 25 clicks, it's going to vary, and that really depends on a number of factors: how well your Google Ads account is set up, and also the sort of traffic that you're sending, your landing page, and your sales process. So that can be lower, it can be higher. But if we take 25 clicks, on average, you might spend $425 to get a paid or a paying customer. And with the keyword Electrician Sydney, you could expect just simple jobs from a light fixture installation to panel upgrades and full house rewires. And so it could be anywhere from $800 to $15K for that sort of keyword. You're going to have some sort of average, maybe it's $3K or $5K, whatever that is. But then what you really need to be doing is take that $425 that it's going to cost you to get a customer, and then look at the sales that you're getting. Is that worth it? I would say if you're going to get sales that well over $1,000 or $1,500, spending $425 to get one paying customer is probably worth it for an electrician. The next example is level 2 electrician. Now this example, it's a little bit more interesting. Let's take $30 a click and 25 clicks to get a paid customer. So you'd be looking at a total ad spend or investment of $750 to get that paid customer. But with a level 2 electrician search, chances are you're going to get a higher value job. So you might get an initial job of $3,000 for a service line connection, for example. And you're going to also get, what's important is a different kind of paying customer. So with that sort of search, you might get some builders actually searching for your services. So that might in turn lead to ongoing contracts like full house rewires. You might be getting 5 to 10K a job or 20K a job, whatever it is. So just from that initial ad spend, $750, you've got a job straight away, and then you might get ongoing work out of that. So what that comes down to is your customer lifetime value. You have an initial job, and then that customer may be a customer for years to come. So you need to really consider that when you're deciding if Google Ads is worth it for your electrical business. As an electrician, how much should you spend on Google Ads? And what are other electricians spending on Google Ads? For yourself, this is actually going to be based on your keywords. As we mentioned earlier, that depends on where you're located and the type of keywords you choose. But as a general rule, we want to be setting our daily budget as 10 times the average cost per click. Let me show you how that works. If we take all our keywords and we get the average cost per click, and then we average the cost of all our keywords. In this example, we get $19. So we'll 10 times that for a minimum daily budget of $190 a day. Now, one big mistake I see often when it comes to Google Ads is that people say they just want to test Google Ads on $5 or $10 a day. Now, there's a huge problem with that when it comes to competitive businesses like electricians, plumbers as well. Any of these home services are quite competitive and their click costs are quite high. If you're only setting $10 a day, you're not even going to get 1 click per day when using Google Ads. And that's just simply not enough data to test Google Ads. Really, you need to be getting 10 clicks per day to be able to test it and to optimize it. So when it comes to Google Ads, we need to be spending 90 days or so from your initial campaign setup to optimize your campaign. It'll start slower to begin with, especially for new accounts. And then after 2 or 3, 60 or 90 days, then your account will really start forming much better. My recommendation when it comes to setting a daily budget for electricians is to start with around $190, $200 a day. And then as your account progresses, as you start getting more conversions, as it starts optimizing, then we can slowly ramp it up. And some electricians are going to be spending more than $500 a day on their Google Ads because it works. You may have heard some electrical contractors say that Google Ads doesn't work and they've tried it. It never worked for them. So what's going on? Why would it not work for them? Well, there's some common mistakes when it comes to running Google Ads campaign. And the first one is choosing the wrong keywords. Choosing keywords where the traffic just simply does not turn into paying customers. If you were to add the word electrician into your account, that's a common mistake, just adding a broad term like that. And the problem with that is it could mean anything. It could mean electrician for hire. It could mean electrician jobs, electrician tools. Could mean a lot of different things. So you're basically going to be showing your ad. You're possibly getting clicks for some of these terms that are just not relevant for your business. So in turn, that's just going to mean either you don't get inquiries or the inquiries you get are going to cost a lot. And now let's compare this with a keyword like electrician Sydney. That's a lot more specific. Whoever's typed that in is clearly looking for an electrician in Sydney, or it's very highly likely. The next common mistake is incorrectly setting up your geographic targeting. You want to make sure that you're targeting just the area you service and not the entire state or even the entire country. If you have accidentally targeted the entire country, you're just not going to get many inquiries. And the inquiries that you do get, well, you won't be able to help them, obviously. So that's going to push up your Google Ads cost. And the final mistake, which we touched on earlier, is not having a good sales process. Google Ads is only one part of the equation. So sending traffic, getting the inquiry, that's half the job. The next part of the job is up to you. You need to be able to turn those calls, turn those emails into paying customers. And one of the biggest mistakes that people make when it comes to that is that they're slow to respond. They don't answer the phone, or if they have a message, they don't get back to them till the next day or 4 hours later. And this applies to all sort of jobs. And this is worse when it comes to emergency jobs. If someone's looking for an emergency electrician, you need to answer the phone. And if you do, the person will probably give that job to the first person that answers the phone. That sounds reasonable. The next mistake in your sales process is not having any follow-up. Follow-up's not necessary for emergency jobs because they're probably going to book it then and there. They're not going to wait around like they would if you had an inquiry for someone that's doing a kitchen renovation that needs some lighting installed. That could be weeks. So in the meantime, you want to be calling. You also want to be emailing them. If you can do those things, all of these things for your sales process, then you're going to get a lot more paying customers when it comes to Google Ads. Thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe to the channel. And if you need some help with your Google Ads and you're not sure how to set it up, you can download my 150-page guide for Google Ads for service business owners, where I run through exactly how to set up profitable campaigns and I go through all the settings. And if you'd like some expert help, you can book a call with me where we can look at your campaigns. We can fix broken campaigns, get them converting, get them profitable. We can also set up new campaigns to generate you paying customers. Cheers.